Hello everyone, it's Metal Monday, and instead of writing a long post, I figured I'd make a video. If many of you have been following me for the past several months, you will know that I ran the Jacksonville Marathon over the weekend. And if you follow me on Strava, you will definitely know I didn't meet my goals. So first, let's address the elephant in the room. This is not stuck on my vehicle, so I did not BQ at this marathon. So, with that out of the way, what exactly happened? I will say it definitely wasn't a lack of support from my spouse, which has been incredible throughout all of these marathons and beyond. Friends and family, and even people that I socialize with on social media. The outpour for support, everyone has been incredible. And had it been for support only, I definitely would have crushed it. But that's not the only variable when you're racing. So let's talk about what happened. So here's a medal just in case, so I can get that out of the way, because it is, after all, Medal Monday. I'm pretty proud that I finished. So let's talk about what happened. So number one, not acknowledging that I was not at the same level of fitness, and that there was no way I was going to make up that deficit within the weeks for the marathon. So that's number one. I should have made adjustments to the plan and gone from there, or done some sort of test at the beginning to give me kind of a ballpark or where I was at. The second factor, I think, definitely what life throws at you. You know, managing being social and being present was tough. I'm in Florida, if you don't know, and we've experienced 2 hurricanes almost back to back, and that took away about 2.5 weeks of consistent training or attacking what was on the training plan for that week. There was one week where I had to settle for just a treadmill at the hotel because we had to evacuate. The second thing was the death of my best little pal, Bernie, which is my cat. That till now has affected me. So that was during what I feel, in my opinion, were the most important 3 weeks of the training, which was leading up to the peak, and then you start tapering. I missed 2 to 3 20-mile runs in my training, and I missed a lot of these long runs that I was just not able to make up. And in doing so, I feel that the last 20-mile run was too late, and it affected how I felt even 2 to 3 weeks later, which I think was the timeline towards the marathon. So number 3, getting in my head. As I'm tapering, I start watching videos and I start looking at other people, and I start reevaluating what my plan is, and more specifically my nutrition leading up to the race, 4 hours before the race, an hour before the race. During the races, I stuck to the same plan that I've always have, so that didn't really change. But I started carb loading more 4 hours, 3 hours before the race. I feel like I ate too much than I normally do. Mind you, all my training, all my runs, I run fasted. I don't require much water. Even my 20-mile run, I go out and run before I eat breakfast. I don't really eat anything. I take a swig of cold brew just to get my body going, and that is it. I don't drink a lot of water. I do consume gels. I don't consume a lot of gels. So, you know, I broke the first rule, which is don't do anything new on race day. I often tell people this, and I didn't follow my own advice. The fourth thing is something that I can't control. It's the weather. We were all anticipating maybe 40s in the morning, and then, you know, obviously getting warmer as the day progressed. But by 9 to 10, it was well into the 70s. It might not have shown that in the weather, but definitely outside of the shade running, it was definitely over 70 degrees, especially on that course where towards the end you leave the residential area and you go into the main road, which is not tree lined at all. And I actually got pretty dark tan lines on my legs, which kind of shows you how exposed we were. So that was that. And the last thing, which is kind of related to the first one, was I should have re-evaluated somewhere during the training that I was not gonna hit 314. I wasn't ready for 314. You can wish yourself a goal. You just have to realize the facts and reality, and that was just unattainable at the level of fitness that I went into this time around. There was no making up for that somehow magically within the training. So yeah, I should have backed it down to 320, which was last year's goal, and I honestly feel I could have hit that, because I could have started somewhere in the 740 pace and just worked my way down to the 720s, and it would have averaged out, which I think is 738 to do 320. Last year 320 would have Boston qualified me, and this year it was 315, which is it's crazy. But the good thing is that next year I will be 50, and then I would go into the next bracket, and 320 will be a Boston qualifier. So that was a mistake, and I can see that in my paces. I was doing really well the first 15 miles, and then it all went down. All the wheels came off by then. But as far as like what happened during, I felt awesome. At the beginning, I had programmed my watch in workouts of 5 miles with target paces throughout the race. So I was doing really well at the beginning as far as not going too hard. I noticed myself in the low 7s, and I pumped on the brakes a little bit until I got to that good average, which was like, I think 735 or something like that. And I was doing really well, and by mile 15 I was actually ahead of target by a little bit, and I was pretty happy with that. Now, throughout that entire time, I had a pain on my side, a side stitch, I guess, and I believe that is due to consuming too much right before the race, and I couldn't shake it off. And by mile 15, it was hurting really bad, and it was starting to affect both my sides, and that's when I started walking and running. And so that was that, and it just got progressively worse. And once you start like realizing that your goal is slipping, there's no sense in like continuing to push as hard as you're supposed to, and that's when you start changing your goals as you go. And so my goal after that was the 320, and that started slipping after mile 20. Those last 6.2 miles were brutal, and I think a lot of it has to do with actually leaving the residential area with trees and going into the just full exposure to the sun. By that time, my arm sleeves were off. If I could have shed anything else, I would have. So the initial feeling at the finish is heartbreak, and you don't want to do this anymore. You question all of your choices. Yeah, the following day I signed up for the Sydney Australia lottery, which I probably won't make, but it just proves that you get kicked to the floor and you just get right back up if this is really what you want to do. So yeah, so my finish time was 3:36. I'm just glad I finished. And so that is my story. If you learned something from this, great. I know I did. So just keep running and don't give up.